welcome to another live demonstration. Sorry for the delay. I'm not supposed to say technical issues because Gary doesn't want to have the blame for these, but a few issues internally with I think it's a burglar alarm going off. So sorry for that, but let's get on with it. What I want to show you is this really fabulous set of watercolour mediums. Now, watercolour, works really well on its own. You may use a few mediums like masking fluid, but there are actually a lot of mediums on the market that people aren't aware of. So at the SAA and with Schmincke, we've put together this fabulous watercolour set. So just think of the watercolour artist who's got everything and he can't think of what to get as a gift. I think this is a really interesting set. So the first one I want to show you, I'll move that out, is the modelling paste. So you're probably aware of modelling paste and you may use it, but this is aqua modelling paste, which means you can paint over with watercolour. So unlike an acrylic one, which will repel, this still has a little bit of absorbency to allow you to paint over with watercolour. And it's actually really nice and smooth, and we'll be using all of this set. I've managed to do a demo using all of the set. You don't need to use it all, obviously, and it'd be nice to pick some parts, but I've managed to do an image with the whole thing. So that's your aqua paste. You have aqua shine. Now, I've used a lot of shine and I was pleasantly surprised how shiny this really is. So what you can do is you can mix it with a colour, or what's really effective is you put it on top. And again, I'll use it in the demo. Aqua collage. So this is a glue, basically. It's a gum arabic based glue. So what that means is you can glue something down onto a mixed media, but you're using watercolour, it won't repel the watercolour. So if you use a PVA glue, that again repels the watercolour, but this has enough absorbency and is made from the same binder as in a watercolour, it works really nicely. So again, you can then paint over the glue with watercolour. And the last one is the aqua granulating spray. And all you do, you need the paint to be wet, you spray it on, and it creates much more organic and mottled effects. So all these watercolour mediums are a really interesting addition to watercolour. So what we're going to do, it also comes in this fabulous gift set, which is a really useful thing to have alongside your mediums, but as a bag for all your other bits and pieces anyway. Okay, so the first thing I did was I've used the modelling paste. Now, I've created my own stencils just from a piece of craft card. Yes, I could have used some acetate or some stenciling film, but this was all I had to hand. So images off the internet, cut them out, and I put some PVA glue on to try and get it a little bit more waterproof so I can reuse it more often than I would normally. And this is, which one I'm going to do? I'll probably do this one because I like this one mostest. Okay. Mostest.
It's the mostest best one.
I must tell you, Gary is sitting here in a shirt and tie and a festive shirt. So he is very festive today.
Christmas party day.
Christmas party day. Yeah, so he's sitting here with shirt and tie, to honour the event. I put a sparkly jumper on because I'm going to be doing a demo of snow and I thought it fitted. So I don't know if you could see that, but it is really very soft, really very fine, which is nice. And what I'm going to do, I've used these quite a lot. And I think they've stood up to the test considering it was on craft card. And I'm just going to push it through. Now I've used the plastic painting knife for this, but I do find the metal one has that flexibility. Just put a lump on to one side. And I'm being careful to make sure it goes on all sides. So pushing it through. There we go. Let's lift. Yay! And actually, it looks a bit bobbly there, but to be honest, it does seem to dry really nicely and flat. So what I do with anything that needs a medium, I paint it overnight and then I can come back and I'm ready to go. So this takes a few hours to dry, but I prefer to leave it overnight. So I've had to prepare, and you can see using the stencils that I cut out, these are ones I put on and they're nice and dry. And it just gives an extra dimension. Another thing I'm using, take that out because that's going to tip over, I know it will, and it will go everywhere, is masking fluid pen, just to create another depth. Now these are the Pebeo drawing gum pens. I like this because it's able to get quite a controlled line, especially when I'm doing snowflakes. This is a new one. It doesn't sit on the top. So actually with this, you get quite a nice, hard, fine nib, but you also get a replacement nib for it. Really easy to take in and out, to clean, just when masking fluid build. I say it's really easy. I haven't got any nails. There you go. Take out, remove any masking fluid that may clog it up. Shake. I'm going to put the lid on. I've been caught out enough times by shaking things without a lid on and then finding I'm covered in it. And then activate by just pressing down. Try not to do this too vigorously because you want to keep the point of and that started the point of the masking fluid pen. So I started over here because I'm going to be doing a lot. I wanted to be able to do a little bit of preparation for you. And I do find when you are doing mixed media, you tend to prepare. So have 2 or 3 things on the go because they're all going to turn out differently. So for this demo, I have also learnt snowflake facts. Not a huge amount because it got a bit too technical. But apparently snowflakes are formed in the high atmosphere when dust particles get covered with a crystal of ice and then the ice crystals start to form that way. It can be too cold to snow, so the atmosphere doesn't allow the crystal forming. Can't see if that one's there. And it has to be frozen all the way down to allow for snow. But there's so many different types of snow. There's a wet kind of snow. There's a huge variety. What else did I learn? I can't remember. It may come to me. So all I'm doing is I've looked on the internet and there's plenty of basic snowflake shapes. They have 6 sides. So that is the really easy thing to do. So some of these you'll see I've already planned where I'm putting the snowflakes. So I'll do some little ones like this and some slightly bigger ones. So 6 side, I'm just starting with 6 side. The pattern then comes. All I'm going to do is do a repeat pattern on each line. So the myth, they say it's a myth, that all snowflakes are different, is technically actually not true. The amount of snow that you have to check to confirm this is you're just not going to do it. What happens is there's such a huge amount of different shapes that it's going to be hugely difficult to actually find a snowflake which is the same as another in a sample. But I think scientists have proven that there are snowflakes that are the same. But who's going to spend their time looking at every single snowflake in the world and saying that actually they're not all different? There are ones that are the same. But it's quite a nice thought that there's such a vast... Oops. And I'm going to leave that one because I forgot I was doing 6. So I did the cross, but actually you need to do that kind of cross shape. Put some little ones on. And the thing I like about this pen is it dries really quickly. So I'm not actually going to be waiting very long done some over the edge just so it's part of the... So I'm not going to be waiting very long for the masking fluid to dry. To be honest, once I've filled this in, I'll probably be able to go straight onto it. Some masking fluid does take a lot longer to dry. And again, this is why you have more than one on the go, because it means you can do this and move on to your next one while that one's drying and come back and drop in between. I don't like that one there. Taking it out. I'm just, which other one didn't I like? I didn't like that one. I think I might have overdone it. I'm going to just change my mind. And this is a great thing. You just see, I'm just started changing my mind about positioning. I want to leave a little bit of space here. So I might be overdoing it. All right, let's just put some shapes on here. So some of the smaller ones, I'm just doing really simple snowflakes. And you'll see they're the same all the way around, which is great. Now I know that actually different snowflakes aren't all individual, because that would have been an absolute nightmare to have to think of a different shape, each one. You can do them more geometrical. I'm just keeping it quite simple, and sometimes simple works. So I've got about 4 different shapes that I'll keep repeating. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'm not overly worried about total accuracy. I know snowflakes are very geometric and very even, but this is a painting, and it's my painting, so I like that shape. I'll do that one, that one. The masking fluid pen isn't refillable, and I know I've been asked that previously, but it's a really useful tool. You can see actually how fine and how controlled, because it's just like I'm drawing. Now the end does need reloading when I feel it's getting a bit dry. I don't know, let's just do a circle. And because I'm not just making marks and I'm going over, especially on this paper, it does feel a bit grating. But if you keep your masking fluid flowing, it works really nicely. I don't know, let's put some extra marks there. So the thing about doing snowflakes, which I really am struggling with, is making them random, because you're looking at your composition, and this is again another reason you have a lot on the go of the same image, because you will find one that you like the composition of with a little bit more. Have fun, play, do what you want with a lot of things, but when it comes down to that piece that you're wanting to display, balance is important, and if you can see that the balance is off, it doesn't feel right, then I'm going to take you out. It makes a difference. I'm just going to do some of these very small ones, and I'm going to leave it. I'm going to have it quite a lot over this side, maybe another one here. To be honest, I'm not sure how it's going to look until I take the masking fluid off. I can always add on, because I can use a white watercolour or gouache to add even more on, or balance out places which haven't worked. So this isn't the be-all and end-all of putting the snowflakes on, little ones. Now you can keep going, so I'm going to have to stop, because I want to put some colour on. Just looking if I can put just across. So it's gone outside and over. So I'm getting a glimpse of a whole rather than keeping it all confined. I like to go outside because it just kind of think there's a bigger picture. Okay, so I've done that, and I should leave it a few minutes to dry. But I'm going to go ahead, because I know it dries so very quickly and gives such a nice thin layer, I'm going to go ahead and put some colour on. So the colours I've chosen, I mean, you can choose any colours. I've seen some lovely ones with any colour. I've chosen a mix. So I've got the ultramarine violet. Now this is a fabulous ultramarine colour, but it has a hint of pink, and that's just really exciting. Indigo, a colour I use a lot just for that darkness. Turquoise is a bright blue colour, and that's just going to add some brightness to it. And then adding the quinacridone magenta, again, just adding another bit of warmth to the painting. You can put any colours you want. I'm going to use the ultramarine violet. This is one of my favourite colours. I want it very wet, so plenty on the palette mixed. Actually, should have done a bigger brush. So put colour on, move it with water. And I'm going to not be overly careful around the snowflakes. The reason is I can take it off, lift it off. Now, I tried wet in wet with this, and now I'm trying, thank you. See, Gary does listen. It is big. I always recommend a bigger brush. And to be honest, I had this. I know what I've forgotten. Gary, I've forgotten something.
What do you need?
No, I've not forgotten something that way. I've forgotten to put on using the Watercolours. So the Watercolours, like I said, you can stick bits and pieces on and then paint over with watercolour. So I got a bit ahead of myself, which isn't a problem. If I just make sure I have soft edges here, I can come back to it, and it will all be part of. Forgot this. Right, so the Watercolours, like I say, it's got a gum arabic base. That's what I had the little brush for. That's why I remembered it once. So, put some glue on and stick it on. I'm just going to put a layer on top. Okay, there's one. Put one here. What's the chances of me putting it on upside down? Oops, quite high.
Yay.
There you go. Let it snow. Go, and again, it's got too much snow over there. No, it's going to have to go here. It's just so difficult to actually do things randomly, unless I just dropped it and see where they landed. And then I won't like where they've landed and move them. It's actually because your brain is working evenly. Okay, that is why I had the small brush. Now, I could let that dry, but again, I don't have the time. So we'll see what happens. Right, nice big brush now. I can go back in and I can add colour. So you see that snowflake? I can dab out, lift off, take it back, and there are other ways. I'm going to make sure that the raised flakes have that extra bit of standing out, make sure they're prominent. Can you see that I've only put the ultramarine violet on, and look at the colours coming out of that already. It's just a fabulous colour.
Maxine has just said Maxine's watching for the first time. She
Hello,
usually
Maxine.
manages to watch the recordings, but not a live one. She's ordered some ultramarine violet, but it's got stopped at customs because customs they've gone on strike.
Well, that's not helpful. Here's me saying how wonderful it is. You're waiting for it. And it really is wonderful. Because you see here, look at that. I'm going to add some of the dark into this.
Oh, Maxine's just got another question.
Yes?
The aquacolage paste.
Yes.
Can you wash it off with just water?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's gum arabic based, so it's just like a watercolour. It is water based. So yeah, if I put too much water on this, it will lift, but it does have good sticking power as well. So like with watercolour, it can be re-wetted. It's just being able to work with watercolour. PVA glue, if you put it on, resists. And so you're left with a stark white outline, whereas you don't need to worry about it with this. Look at those colours. They're fabulous. Indigo, one of my favourite colours. Oh, I forgot you can go over that. Let's put some turquoise in to be honest, I think, I know I might say it about other colours, but I love the bright colours. This is turquoise. Look at this. And I think they work quite well together. The previous ones I have done, I noticed I didn't get right into the snowflake, which I can always go back and push it in. But with watercolour, oh, there you go, that's a back rump, but I can cover that. It may not be what I was looking for, so just lift off. While, because it's a staining colour, it'll be more difficult to lift off at a later date. But snowflakes aren't white, they're actually clear. And what they do is they reflect the light. So all the colours I'm putting on, they will have some of that colour on it anyway. So I think I'm just going to whack colour on. I'm going to then take a short break so I can get this to dry. What other colours have I got? Oh, I've got some magenta. Ooh.
Anita.
Yes.
Just had a message from Betty, who's watching for the first
Hello.
time. She's in Canada, where it's 5 a.m.
That is impressive.
That's dedication.
It really is. It's not. Wouldn't be the first thing on my list if I was up at 5 a.m. But thank you, Betty. Thank you for joining us in the middle of the night, I would say. Okay. I love watercolour. It's just a great medium that it's unpredictable. You slap it on, you just see what happens. And you're often really surprised. One of the key things with watercolour is not to keep overworking. Just see what happens. You can go back in, you can fix. Look at how that was indigo and turquoise mixed together. I don't want harsh lines. I found that the first time I did it quite light, and with watercolour it dries quite light. I think I've got a mix of the indigo and the turquoise now, making a really dark. Over the page, don't keep. So a few lighter areas, a few darker areas, just to add some contrast. I didn't put much magenta on. Okay, let's put some on. And I think they mix well together, so if they run into each other, it doesn't create a muddy colour, it creates another new exciting colour. And I didn't choose that. I just chose colours I liked and thought would work well, and actually they work well with each other as well. So that's another consideration to think about. Right, I'm going to have to leave that, else I'll just keep putting more colour on, and I'll just let it do its own thing. Bits like this I can fix at a later date. So join us in a minute after a short break. I've got a chance then to dry, and then we'll come back and we'll continue working.
Let us bring out the artist in you. If you'd like to learn how to paint or improve your painting, the SAA is here to inform, encourage and inspire you every step of the way. When you become an SAA member, you get so many benefits, including the free bi-monthly newsletter Paint, packed with inspiring step-by-step projects, fascinating articles and detailed information to get your creative juices flowing. Discounts on over 13,000 art products featured on the SAA website and in the Home Shop catalogue, with free order line and free delivery in the UK mainland. A devoted SAA team on hand to answer your questions and give you the confidence and motivation you need to start painting and develop at a pace that suits you. Plus, a free welcome pack filled with gifts and practical help to get you started, as well as the opportunity to make friends with like-minded people.
Best thing of being a member is the inspiration from the magazines, to be able to purchase things at a very reasonable price.
Yeah, you get the reduction on all the materials, the advice you get.
I can shop from home.
It's a community.
It seemed like a very friendly sort of organisation.
If somebody's thinking of joining, don't spend too long thinking. Just join. They'll love it.
Hello and welcome back. So I can see it's maybe got a few harsher lines than I normally would like, but it happens. I was rushing. But it's all completely fixable, and I obviously haven't put enough glue at the edges here. This is because I've not had a chance to let things dry fully between layers. So have a couple on the go, as I've said before. So a few harsh lines, which I don't like, and I don't know where the tissue went, but it doesn't matter. All I'm going to do is just with a clean brush, soften, and easily just let them disappear. Harsh lines you can use, but when you want it to look quite fluid, sometimes they're just a little distracting. All I'm doing is just a clean brush and just letting it blend and soften and taking that harsh line away. Oh, it's got masking fluid under there. Let's have a look and see what I can push into. I mean, I could put more colour on, but I don't want to risk losing the effects I've got. So I'm just going to use the colours I've got. And you see here, because these colours are so strong anyway, oh, I've got a little hole there, which I need to solve, that I can move them. So this is a damp brush, not a wet brush. If I used a wet brush, I would be creating back runs, which again I have tried to do in the past on purpose. And they are so difficult to do when you try and do them on purpose. But when you're not aiming for them, they just happen by themselves. Okay. So all I'm doing is looking for the harsh lines and softening. I mean, you probably can't notice it, but I can. So just for my peace of mind. Okay, fine. I'll leave that. Right, what next? Oh, forgot to do this.
Wow. Oh.
Right.
What's it? Will it not spray on top?
No, not while it's dry. So I'm going to have to add some wet paint. Okay. So I wasn't planning to do this because, again, I've rushed ahead. Had everything planned. So the aqua granulating spray, you need to do it on wet colour. doesn't work on the dry, which is why I'm having to add some more. And hopefully you should be able to see what happens. So it causes colours to granulate. This has granulated naturally, but colours that don't, or colours you want even more granulation on, it just creates a much more organic effect. It needs to be wet. I'm just softening my harsh lines. But I hope this shows you that actually you go back in, you can keep adding, you don't need to worry about, oh, I've made a mistake, how do I fix it? The key to anything you want to fix in a watercolour, so this is where the granulating spray is working. So the key to fixing any watercolour is let it dry first, then try and fix it, unless you want to lift off while wet. But a lot of fixing can be done at a later date. This is a good example. So this is wet, and you can see it working on here. It's not touching it while it's dry. See, look at those patterns there. And that is, again, think of that as a background, say in a forest or on a floor or that kind of thing. You don't have to use all mediums at one go like I am doing. I'm just using them all in this painting to show you them. Soften that line. So I hope you saw that. Okay, what was the next thing? I know, aquashine. Aquashine. So this, like I say, I was really surprised how shiny it actually is. Oh. You can mix with a colour. Let's try and mix it with a bit of turquoise. And create a create a shimmery paint. Can you see that?
Yeah, just about.
Because it's wet as well, so you won't see the shimmer. Or what I've been doing is been using it neat, and I've been just adding it to these. And I've still got a bit of colour on. Just adding them to the raised snowflakes. Okay. Just to add that shimmer. And at the end, what I'll do once I've taken off the tape, which this time not only is it creating a border, but it's actually quite practical, because I did find that when I got it quite wet, it did cockle. You started off with 300 gram paper, which is a £140, and because I got it too wet, that it started to cockle too much, that I decided to go for a 240 gram, which is a £200. And I know a lot of you I work in grams, but some of you know the pound of the paper, so hopefully you'll know. So that's just a bit heavy. And even here, there is a bit of bowing, but once it dries, it actually dries quite flat. So I must admit, when I'm doing a live demonstration, I do tend to go for the 425 weight, just because I know I'm not going to get a surprise when it starts to bow. Don't know, can you see that sparkle, Gary?
Not quite, not really. Hold on, let me just cut to the side angle.
Because I can see it, and it is fabulous.
Not really, you might have to shake it at the end.
We'll have to shimmer and shake it at the end. But I could say, I was really impressed with the sparkle on this. So a great addition, able to be mixed and just fairly neat. It's not opaque, but it's not so transparent that it doesn't allow the colour, hides the colour. Okay. So one more. And I'm not overly worried about where it's going, because it's just part of the whole. Right. I've got 6 snowflakes and all 6 are done.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So the Let It Snow,
Yes.
is it Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, or is it Let It Snow from Frozen? Which one is it?
It's not the Frozen one. We were talking about Frozen before we went on air, because I said he should let his son watch it as part of his film
He really doesn't
upbringing.
want to. He really doesn't.
No, it's Let It Snow, Let It Snow. That's my initial thought when it
And that's why
It
there's
came
3
to
of
me.
them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to, no, big brush. Go for the big brush, whack a load on and add some shimmer. Put it on quite thickly there on purpose, just so you could see. I'm not going to put it all over it, I just want it to catch and highlight in areas. Again, remembering to take it off the edge so it's need some more. So think about this maybe as part of a landscape and you put some shimmer on the water, or an animal or bird and you just want to add some iridescence into the feathers. Just something like this where actually it works really well. Bit in the sky, a night sky with a bit of shimmer. There's loads of ways you can use it. And like I say, I am so impressed with how shimmery it actually is. Okay, so getting there. Just need to have a blast here and just dry it off, because I then want to reveal the masking fluid. And this, actually, yesterday I was doing it and I got so excited. I just said to my friend Gemma, and I went, is it me? I'm getting so excited every time I take off some masking fluid and it reveals a snowflake. It's so exciting. So you'll see when I'm able to do so. Let me just try this. Okay. And I do need to make sure it is dry, because masking fluid does not come off well on a slightly damp page. Get them out of the way. Okay. You'll know when it's dry, especially with the 4 to 5 gram paper, because it goes flat again. So here isn't quite dry because it's still bowing. I don't know why, if I move the hairdryer over quickly, it makes it feel like it's going to dry any quicker. And that's starting to sink now, which means it's drying. Right. I'm going to have to go for it. So masking fluid and a hairdryer, not always the best combination. To be honest, the best thing to do is to let it dry naturally. Again, have more than one on the go, because then you can be at the different stages and you don't have to be held back by waiting to dry.
Just before you get, I just realised we just had 25 people around the world literally watching paint dry.
Yeah. Well, welcome to watching paint dry. And if you're doing this by yourself, you have the time. I've got a short window to be able to get a lot of information down. Right, this time I've actually remembered to bring my mask away. This is an invaluable tool if you use masking fluid. Now, what I can do is I can go like this with my fingers, but chances are my fingers are really grubby. And sometimes it doesn't. You know, you've just done a lovely painting, you've got high quality paper, and then you're shoving your grubby fingers all over it. This also takes the masking fluid off, even stubborn masking fluid. So the hairdryer and heating, not always advisable, because it tends to make the masking fluid grip to the paper. But we'll just see. What happens, happens. Oh, look, told you, it's so exciting. Look at that little snowflake start to emerge. And again, you need to let it be completely dry. I don't think it is fully dry, so I might have issues with actually the masking fluid ripping the paper. Don't think I will because it's so fine and thin, but this can be an issue if I have, because I haven't let it dry completely fully. But look, I don't know if you're getting excited as I am, but look at it, because I can't always remember where I put them in the first place. Look at that, Gary, look. It's snowing.
It's magical.
I know. Oh, I had to have a word with myself yesterday because I got so excited. Oh, there's one there. Didn't see that one. Okay. And this is because that pen is so controllable. It's so easy to do this lovely, delicate work. There are two formulas with the pen. So this is the latex version, finer nib, and then there is a non-latex version. It's got a thicker nib and doesn't have a replacement. But again, even with the thicker nib, you are able to control and have that feel of using a pen rather than a masking fluid brush or something like that. But I like this one. This is the fine one, especially for this kind of work. Right. There must be more over here. Now this is where I might have issues because I can feel it's not quite dry yet. But that's life. Let's see. The mask weight really does help. It just takes it off, it grips it, it takes it off cleanly. What I will do at the end, which I'm not keen on, but it's the only way I can tell whether I've got all the masking fluid off. Oh, there's one. You just keep finding them. Is that I'm going to just run my fingers over, just because then I can feel if I've missed any. I don't think I have actually. Woo. So not something I like doing, but yes, like I said, that hadn't dried before I let it. So I can glue them down now. Actually, I'll do it down now. And then what I'll do is I can leave it like that. But if I am still finding, so this happened with the last one, what I did was just glue it down and put a flat board on top. It's because I haven't allowed it to dry enough before I've put the paint on. So the paper, because it's only copy paper, has got wet and it's bowed into the it will go back. I can always go back to it later. But can you see, because I did put a layer of the aqua collage on top, it's allowed you to paint on the paper. So last final thing, which I might not need to do, but I'm going to, is I'm going to use the Chinese white in the SAA range, or you can use a white gouache. Now, normally I would squeeze this out at the end because I like it to be quite wet and use it very neat just to get a very opaque white. And what I can do is I can add some more snowflakes, or if on here I can just bring back a little bit of the whiteness. If it's got too, I've lost the definition. So, and I'm going to go for it. We've got a couple of minutes. I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to get it everywhere. Going to use a speckling brush, which is a perfect tool for a snow seam. Oops. Loading it up with white, and I'm trying to think which way I turn it.
I forget every time.
I do, and I will remember when it goes all over the place. You can use a toothbrush, and many people do. What I find is this gives a really fine splattering. Okay. My pin fell out, but that's easy enough to push back in. Okay, so I've just loaded up with white, push the pin in. I'm a bit scared. Oh, it's coming up at me. Either way I turn it, it's coming at me. I don't know, can you see? I've not got enough white on it. Let's try it in the... Oh, yes, there, I can see that.
There's a little bit there.
Yeah. But that's because of the fineness, and maybe I haven't loaded it enough, but I'm getting some... So think about this with the Aquashine. That would be great. If I really load plenty of colour, let's just try a really big wodge of white and see what we get. But on a white paper, and you've put, say, or a light background. Oh yeah, I can see that now. Let's do it on the... Because it's coming over here. This is how you have to be careful. This is how far it goes. But because it's so fine, I'm overdoing it on purpose, so you can see it. Can you see it, Gary?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Maybe if I push the stick in a little bit. So it's that super fine spray you can get, and up your arm and everywhere you want. Okay, I think I'm finished. That's using the modelling paste for the raised snowflakes, the aqua collage, I think it is, for the sticking down and allowing you to paint over with watercolour, the aqua shine, which hopefully will really shimmer when I tip the board, the granulating spray. I kind of forgot to show you, but hopefully you did see in this area how it works. You don't need to use them all. It's a fabulous gift for that watercolour artist who seemingly has everything. It's still technically a watercolour because this is done with watercolour. The mediums are watercolour. So I don't think we've even slightly gone into mixed media. But I hope that was fun for you. Take off. Still a bit damp. I haven't had a chance to, which is why it's sticking to the paper. Now, when you are taking tape off, this is technically not a masking tape, it's actually a framing tape. So I'm not surprised there's a bit of paper tearing. But you'll see that I'm doing it at an angle, which means that any paper tears are going to be behind the mount. And I should do it slowly, much slower than I am doing. But all paper may tear, depends on lots of factors. Like I say, this technically isn't a masking tape, it's a framing tape. But if you're slow and careful, you can get away and not have any. But if you're like me, you just take it off in one run. But I'm not overly worried because I know anything that happens is going to be away from the painting, not go into. So that's that done. I don't know, can you see the shimmer now, Gary?
If you tip it forward and backwards, yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah, look at this. Look at the areas I put some on. Like I say, I was really surprised how well it works. And there you go. Let it snow using the Schmincke aqua mediums. So I hope you enjoyed that. And join me next week for another live demonstration.